Thank you for setting us up for this. So appropriate for our member welcoming Sunday, especially when we look at our community and say, yeah, this door is open to you, to all. I love the words in that song where no matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, come and let's be silent. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. Here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing if there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you're not alone. Why? Because, as the song continues to say, the God in us recognizes the God in you, and this door is open to you. So perfect for today's celebration of spiritual community. And I'm going to be sharing throughout my message some testimonials that some of you have shared. I invited some of our members to ask, what does it mean to you to be in this community, in community, and particularly this one, Center for Spiritual Living, Sarasota. So here's what one of our newer members wrote. Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota has been a real blessing for me as I seem to be an outcast in very traditional religious belief systems. So I sought and I found validation and support with you and our spiritual community. Gratitude for your uplifting service. That's what we're here to do. So today we are celebrating our new and renewing members for 2019. And in honor of this occasion, every year I invite us to revisit the idea of membership, the idea of community, asking what does membership in this spiritual community mean for us individually, and what does membership mean for us collectively? Here's what someone else wrote, one of our other members. Membership in Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota means to me a sense of coming home to my spiritual self. She wrote, I am reminded each week of the many tools available to guide and enhance my life. Being a member of this spiritual center, I'm grateful for everything I've learned, and I'm still learning. It's made my life more peaceful, more joyful, loving, and positive. So let's consider this rich experience of joining in community, with spiritual community. Not because of obligation, not because of outside pressure, but by choice, and in a way that's enriching and that's healthy and that's freeing. Here's what someone else wrote about that. I so appreciate the work of those who make our Sunday service and this spiritual community possible. It takes a village community. Every Sunday afternoon, she writes, I'm so glad and grateful that I attended the Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota that morning. The message masterfully weaves compelling, real-life, personal, and heartwarming stories, reminding me of the principles of Signs of Mind. And I so appreciate the weekly inspiration and the comfort it gives me. And she adds, the music by our very talented Bob Teasdale and our guest musicians is soul food, too. Thank you, she says. And along the lines of our music, another member wrote, for me personally, I love how the services get my toes a-tapping. Now, in the invitation letter that we sent to everyone, here are some of the questions that we suggested that you ask yourself as you considered membership. We asked this, because of the Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota, has my life changed for the better? Am I spiritually inspired and empowered? Have I met others who are positive and uplifting to be with? And am I encouraged and motivated to do my part to make this world better? And if you answered yes, we invited you to make that commitment by becoming a 2019 member of this your center. This person answered yes to those questions and said it this way, membership in this spiritual community has provided me with the perfect environment for my own spiritual growth and has encouraged me to expand my consciousness to include a bigger idea of what is possible for me. It is a warm, friendly, and caring community that supports me on my journey of spiritual discovery and I am deeply grateful to be part of it. Community. And speaking of the support of this spiritual community, here's what another member wrote. These people have become my spiritual family, cheering me on in my growth and my happiness. It's a chance to commit to deepening my spiritual life and to learn awesome practical tools, spiritual tools that go way beyond the secret. Being a Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota member is great, he wrote. So in celebration of all of us who are joining as members for this year, I titled my message, as I do each year, But I'm Not a Joiner. But I'm not a joiner. Because what I want to emphasize today is that this is not so much about joining a church, a center, an organization, get the T-shirt, the beanie, the secret handshake. Well, maybe the secret handshake we'll keep, I don't know. But it's really about an experience, that experience of joining spiritual community. Well, what does that mean, joining in spiritual community? Well, let me remind you that God does not care which church you join. God doesn't care if you join a church at all. But I do believe God created us as fundamentally relational beings who can grow and thrive in community far more than we can in isolation. Here's the way one of our members put it. He said, I consider Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota as my extended family of individuals like me who want to improve themselves and the world around them. It is a place of comfort, acceptance, and a powerful force for the universal good to express itself in tangible ways through each of us and our spiritual family as a whole. Another one of our members who moved here from another city wrote this. She said, my former minister was right when she said, you're the real deal. Thank you for my new home. The poet Starhawk expressed community, the essence of this coming together and what we can mean to each other, so eloquently. She wrote, somewhere there are people who can speak with passion without having the words catch in their throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter, and voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends, some place where we can be free. That is the sacred and powerful intention of this, your Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota. Here's an example of that support. One of our members wrote, when my husband had a sudden and very uncertain job change, we didn't hesitate for a minute to ask for affirmative prayers from the prayer practitioners and Reverend Karen. And boy, howdy, are we glad we did. During that time, we felt totally supported spiritually by Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota. We felt the strength of those prayers. And that, more than anything else, helped us to know that all would be well. So, membership in this Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota community is about creating a space for the expansion and growth of you personally and spiritually, of me personally and spiritually. I'm continually expanding and growing by means of being in community with you. And this is for you, for each other. Another one wrote about this being a spiritual home. I hear that so often. I love it. Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota for me is a spiritual home with people who care about life and growth. The messages remind me that we're all from one source and we're all one. This is so very important as each day we are bombarded with so much division in politics and in the media. All one, a reminder. Now, of course, you and I can grow and expand and deepen on our own, And we should do that. We should take responsibility for that, our personal journey. But there's an added dimension of growth that happens in community. And it only happens in community. The ancient poet Rumi expressed this power of community this way. He said, "A wall standing alone is useless, but put 3 or 4 walls together and they'll support a roof and keep the grain dry and safe." Good example. And so he wrote, "You may be happy enough going along alone, but with others, you'll get farther faster." And the author, M. Scott Peck, wrote a whole book about community. And in it he said there remains something about true community that is inherently both mysterious and miraculous. So the mystery is that it cannot be forced. Real community cannot be forced. But it has an innate, inevitable, self-organizing energy. And miraculous, one of the miracles of community is that I call it the arithmetic of community. Haven't you noticed that in any sharing in community, when you share your burdens or your pain, your problem, it's diminished because you've shared it with others who care. And when you share your joys, they're multiplied exponentially. When you share something wonderful that's happened and something that's making you joyful, don't you notice that, wow, it even feels more fabulous as you get the response from others and as you share with others? That's the miraculous arithmetic of community. Now, during our ceremony in a few minutes, we're going to be reading our sacred covenant of community. And in that covenant, we acknowledge some very definitive ways to walk the talk, walk this talk. So, as a little preview, would you take out the covenant? We're going to look at that, and I want to talk about each one of those points briefly as we really dig in and say, what does this mean to me? Because here's the thing. Every one of you is a center for spiritual living. And so whatever you do individually along these lines, when we do it collectively, then we create the collective center for spiritual living. So let's see here. Okay, the covenant is the blue folder inside has a list of the members on the front of it, and then inside is the covenant. And on the left side is mine, and which I will read to you later, but on the right side of that, as you open it, is the members' sacred covenant. And you know, if each one of us practices these things individually, we'll inevitably create and nourish and sustain a beautiful collective spiritual community. So the first covenant is to anchor our every idea, plan, and action in a consciousness of spirit. What does that mean? Well, it means that we begin everything by seeking guidance through affirmative prayer, through meditation, through visioning, visualizing, all of that, for every single thing that we want to do. And in that practice of starting there, we are asking, what are the highest and best qualities that would be expressed by this that we wish to create, that we wish to do? That's where we start. Not, would everybody like it? What would people think about it? Do we have the resources? No, the first place we start with anything and everything is asking, what are the highest and best qualities that would be expressed by this? And in what ways is this going to be life-affirming and not diminishing to life of anyone or anything? Another way of saying we start with spirit, with anything we want to do or express, is ask, what would peace do here? What would wisdom do here? What would love do here? And you can add on, make a long list of qualities. That's where we start. And with this as our top priority as a center, as individuals, as a community, it gives us a compass to inform and guide every step then along the way. All the things that roll out from that. It anchors us in always knowing that God, Spirit, is our source of everything we need. Everything. Anything less than that in our thinking immediately sets us up for limitation, doesn't it? So we want to start. That's the first thing. The second is to honor and respect one another. Pretty much sum it up when we sang our chant, "You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You're a part of me. You are my family. You are the face of God." Number 3, to learn and grow through the practice of spiritual principles with integrity, authenticity, and love. Here's how someone wrote about that. Membership in Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota has been a life-enriching experience. I appreciate the opportunity to meet regularly with fellow spiritual seekers for learning and growing together. The operative word here, by the way, is practice. Practice. This is about the practice of walking the talk wherever you are in your daily activities, of being an example, more than a talking head. Be an example. I love what St. Francis of Assisi said, and this is just a kind of a translation, a summation of it, but at all times, preach the gospel, and only if necessary, use words. Be an example. See, our reputation as a center will be such, if we do that, will be such that people would say, those people really walk their talk. And I can think of no higher praise than that. All right, number 4 is to discover and express our unique gifts. Asking, what are my special gifts? Maybe what I think are ordinary gifts. But what are my gifts? What is my gift? And how can I share this in support of my spiritual community? Because it isn't just about gathering on Sunday morning and then going out again. It's about engaging, and that's one of the beautiful, rewarding ways to do it, is share our gifts. All right, the 5th is to work together in welcoming, nurturing, empowering, and equipping all who are drawn to our center. Again, that's a way of being open to expanding our community. This welcoming is more than just saying, hi. As one person said, for me personally, I totally appreciate that the meet and greet, that it happens so fluidly and naturally after the service. It's about looking around, taking a moment to chat with someone who's new, someone who may be sitting alone, standing alone. I know we all have our friends that we'd love to come and see, and yet as a community, and reaching out with the hand of community, saying your soul is welcome here, you are welcome here, this door is open to you. Let's also take a moment to look around and say, let me just go greet that person, get to know them a little bit. Not just, hi, glad you're here, and then back to my little group. It's a challenge, I know, but the thing is, what has meant the most to me when I have entered new communities has been when someone has just taken that moment and acknowledged and recognized and chatted with me for just a little bit and said, I'm glad you're here. Number 6, to evolve spiritually by being joyfully involved in service and sharing in community. And we have a lot of you who do this. We're so blessed. You're so generous. Here's what one person said who has given in a number of ways, has shared in service. She said, I have found the Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota community offers a variety of opportunities to serve with others. It's a pleasure to lead the before church meditation in the little room down the hall. And she said, I have enjoyed the bustle of working in the kitchen, helping to prepare for special events. She said, the times I've been a greeter have also been enjoyable, interacting with people and getting to know members and guests as they come in the door. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to stretch and grow through presiding and offering workshops and helping with talks and meditations. This is someone who has really, is it dived in or dove in? Jumped in and given her gifts in service. And many of you do that, I know, and I'm so grateful that you do. It makes all the difference. Because service is a principle of life the principle of life is we can only take in for so long. We can only, inhale for so long, and then we have to exhale or give back. So along with prayer, and meditation, and spiritual study, let's remember service given with joy is also a spiritual practice. So number 7, then, to answer the call to make a difference in the world is people ministering to people. People ministering to one another. And I see you doing this. And I want to applaud you and encourage you to continue doing that. It's so rich and so strengthens our sense of community. By that I mean I see you ministering to each other by being in community together. I see you by being there one-to-one in difficult times, by seeing and affirming the highest and best in each other. This is people ministering to people, making a difference, hand to hand and heart to heart. One of our members wrote, I believe membership in this spiritual community supports the important mission of Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota to expand this teaching in the greater community, helping to make the world a better place. See, that's how we do it, one by one in community, ministering to each other. And finally, to embrace the continuing process of discovering our spiritual magnificence. Now, you think, that sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it? My spiritual magnificence. I mean, when is the last time you looked in the mirror and said, I love that spiritual magnificence looking back at me? But the thing is, this process, this evolution of discovering our spiritual magnificence, because we all have it and are it happens as a natural result of practicing the intentions of our sacred covenant. As you do embody these tenets and practice them, you're in touch with your spiritual magnificence. To wrap up the portion with the quotes, I want to share what one of our members, who happens to have been living up in the Midwest she moved away 10 years ago. And she said, when I sent out this email, and she wrote back, she said, I so miss the Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota that I'm moving back this fall. She said, there's no community like this one, and I've spent almost 10 years looking for a spiritual home here, and I will not name the state, but in another state. And by the way, even though she has lived away from here, she has renewed her membership every single year. She stayed connected. But I love it. She's coming home. All right. So now we're going to move into our very simple ceremony. And I'd like to invite the board members to come up here, if you would, please. The board members who are here, I think we have Kathleen and Alan. This is Kathleen Frankert, who's the vice president of the board, and Alan Polton, who is the treasurer of the board. Let us welcome them with appreciation. If these people are gold, that's all I can say. They're gold. They're fantastic. What they do behind the scenes for you is incredible, and I'm so grateful for them. So in a moment, they're going to lead you in reading the covenant, but I want to just say a couple of more things. To you who are the members declaring your membership for this year, in January 2002, we stepped out truly in faith and established the Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota. And so now, 17 years later, your declaration of membership for this year is worthy of celebrating. By doing this, you have shown us that you're committed to your own spiritual growth through the principles that we teach. You're showing us that you're dedicated to participate fully in the life and work of your spiritual home. And your declaration of membership also demonstrates your intention to join with others in creating a warm and vital and caring spiritual community. And something powerful happens when you step up and make this commitment. a new level of energy and vitality is unleashed. And with that, together, we can do so much toward making this world a better place by making a positive difference.